basketball analysis with over 70 years combined experience. This is the Bob Ryan and Jeff Goodman podcast.
NBA, some college, a little bit of everything.
You know, what can I say? But it wasn't going to happen here with him.
You're listening to the Bob Ryan Gary Tanguay podcast, proud member of the CLNS Media Network. The show is brought to you by Prize-Picks, North America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Download today. Use code CLNS to get $50 when you play 5. Prize-Picks, run your game. Bob Ryan, Robert Parish, as you told me, has a memoir coming out, which should be very interesting. And we're just going to talk about the Chief for a moment. Let's start at the beginning. Your impressions, or what do you remember about his arrival in Boston?
His arrival in Boston came as I trust, pleasant surprise to him on draft day. And now he comes up in the fall, and he's got a very interesting coach for him, Bill Fitch. And Bill Fitch is no nonsense. Bill Fitch is highly demanding. Bill Fitch can be acerbic. Bill Fitch can be a lot of things. And Robert didn't take well to it. And Robert started off with a very subpar training camp. And when Dave Cowens had his shocking retirement in Evansville, Indiana, he went on the bus and said to Robert Parish, words to this effect: "You're going to be okay, big fella. You know, you're going to be okay. You'll get to learn with the guy, and you're going to be fine." Okay. That night, they go to Evansville, Indiana, to play the Bulls, and Robert Parish picks up like 5 quick fouls by like the second quarter, and Fitch leaves him out there. It's like, okay, big guy, this is all yours. It's all on you, you know. And so that was like the nadir that night. Now, gradually things get a little better. We get the opening night that year, 79-80. They get the tap. He got it, went down, set up, and who got the first shot of the 79-80 season? Robert Parish. I'm sure it was an order from the bench. Give the big guy the ball and let him get off and running to hit one of his turnarounds, you know. And that was the beginning of a wonderful, you know, like Casablanca. That was a beginning of a wonderful friendship between Robert Parish and the Boston Celtics and Boston Celtic fans. 2 championships later, you know, he's a smiling guy. Robert Parish, I guess over this from the side, it's just a little, the greatest player and center in Celtic history, won 2 national championships in college. The next 2 best Celtic centers combined did not appear in one tournament game. Dave Cowens, because they were on probation at Florida State, and Robert Parish, because he played at Centenary, which are off the radar screen. So just like to point that out. I just love that idea. Now, Robert Parish, I got to give you a background. I can truthfully say that I had at least 1 or 2 breakfasts with Bill Fitch in the year before. And personnel things came up, and he said, "I'd like to get my hands on that Robert Parish." And he thought that he was an underutilized asset in Golden State. And I had, and about because he could run the floor very, very well. And I had seen this. I discovered Robert Parish when he was a member of the Pan Am team, which trained down in Providence under the coach Dave Gavitt, who was always a friend. I went down to see him play, and I saw this big guy, and I said, I've never seen a 7-footer run like this, except maybe Patrick Ewing, by the way. But he ran the floor beautifully. And, you know, so he was on my personal radar screen. So now he gets drafted, goes to Golden State, and he's doing okay. And he's a rebounding guy, you know, but Fitch had his eye on him. So that's why I say that deal that was made, you know, everybody, of course, wants to assume it was Red's deal, but I like to think that it was completely because of the prodding of Bill Fitch that Red was that aware to go in and seek out Robert Parish. So what do we get? We got a center who did the whole thing, scored, blocked shots, wasn't a great passer, but he got to be a decent passer, durable, and you know, and fun to watch. I thought he was so much fun to watch him run the floor, fun to watch him do that turnaround. Extraordinary that when he was in his groove with that turnaround, you know, he actually, his momentum sometimes carried him off the court into the bench. It's hard to believe, but it's that way. Now, would he have been adaptable today? Oh God, do they even want a guy like that today that operated, you know, 10 feet from the basket
right.
And in? He could face up a little bit, but turnaround was his big, you know, weapon and the hook, the old-fashioned hook. But he was a scoring guy. And here's the other thing that's so commendable about Robert Parish as a Celtic. You check his stats on field goals attempted, and they went down year by year by year by year by year. He I don't hate the word sacrifice, but he altered his game and his concept of what he should be to accommodate Bird and McHale. No question. And he did it without ever, he never said a public word about it. I doubt it very much he said a private word about it, but he did it. And it was for the team, and he did it. Robert Parish is a treasure. And I always say this, Gary, now when he retired, now things have changed naturally, but life goes on. But when he retired, I said, he might be considered the greatest player in the history of several franchises in this league. That's how good he was. Except he was blessed and privileged to play with Bird and McHale and so forth, But he was that good. He's a top 10 all-time center, and the youngins obviously they don't know, but I'm telling you.
Okay, we'll get back to the show in just a minute. Got to tell you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks, the best place to turn your sports knowledge into cash. With millions of members, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least two players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. 2,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. And Prize Picks puts members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When your picks hit, you can get your money in as quick as 15 minutes. Prize Picks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more. Quick and easy deposits in your accounts throughout the sports season. Every Tuesday, Prize Picks will discount several projections on the board, usually by 15 to 25%. It's as simple as this. So, for example, Drake May, what do you think? 15 completions, more or less? Make your play on Prize Picks. Travis Kelce, 2 touchdowns, more or less? Make your play on Prize Picks. So, download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 after you play $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Trying to figure out where all your money's going and your bills and what's coming in, what's coming out. Well, Monarch can help you do it. All right. They can get you organized. You can feel confident with your finances with Monarch Money, the all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean interface on your laptop or your phone. Right now, just for our listeners, Monarch is offering 50% off your first year. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. Everybody's busy, right? So they do all the heavy lifting, link all your accounts in minutes, get clear data visuals, smart categorization of your spending. Find out where all your money's going. Get control of your money today. And also they can bring couples together because money can always be an issue, but Monarch can help. Monarch gives your partner full access to your shared dashboard, including linked accounts, budgets, goals, and spending activity, all in one place at no extra cost. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code HOOPS at monarchmoney.com and in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code HOOPS. Don't let this financial opportunity go away and slip through the cracks. Check out Monarch today. Well, he was happy, like you said, to take a back seat with Larry and Kevin. And the only time he was a very proud man. Very proud man. There's no doubt about it. Very private.
Yep.
He as you talked about, we've talked about before, when Larry got into that scuffle with Julius Erving, he didn't come to Larry's defense because Larry didn't back him up looking for a contract.
Right. And that's lingered between those two, apparently, which is sad. I'm sorry about that.
It's very sad because
apparently it's lingered. Larry did, among the interviews, I did 5 interviews for his museum, and but one was not Robert Parish. He didn't want Robert Parish, I guess, and I'm disappointed to hear that.
Which is too bad because in the Celtics City documentaries, a series of episodes that Simmons did, I mean, he praised Parish as a player.
I know. He always had good things to say about Robert. I'll never forget this, okay? The famous Jordan 63-point game.
Right.
The 2 biggest baskets to help win the game for the Celtics. One was a Jerry Seasting foul line jumper. And I said that it was like a Studebaker out performing a Porsche, with Michael. Words to that effect, okay? The other was a pick and roll that Larry did, and he dished off to Robert for a very key basket very, very late. And Robert had not made an outside shot the whole game. Not to that point, not one outside shot. And I asked Larry about it after. He said, I always give Robert the ball if he's open.
Right.
And never hesitated. And he gave him the ball, and Robert rewarded him with that key basket. There was a lot of he man of very few words, and I think he was upset too. Maybe he thinks Larry should have hired him when he was in Indiana doing something. But here's the other thing. I'll say this, Gary. When he left, I said it. He may never come back into a gym again. I really thought that he could have taken this whole thing and put it back on the shelf and gone to live his life without basketball. He found out that he couldn't, happily. He's yearned to be back in over the years much more than he was ever allowed to be, and which is too bad. But that's the impression I had, that he was, okay, I did this, I'm done with this.
Who gave him the nickname Chief?
Max. And he gave him the nickname Chief because of his stoicism, and it was because the Chief in Cuckoo's Nest, the character in the Cuckoo's Nest, it was a stoic big guy, and that's why he called him the Chief.
My first time at Hellenic College, I was working for WERZ in Exeter, New Hampshire.
Woo!
This is back when Bob Ryan had less gray hair.
Yes.
So this was 87. It was 87 because it was my first Celtic media day. And I went in with my little tape recorder. I had this awful mustache. I still have the picture. I don't know what I was thinking. I had a mustache for some reason. And I went down to interview players. And that's when Bird lost all the weight. Everybody's talking about Bird lost all the weight.
Oh, yeah.
And I walk into the gym, and I see you, and I see all the writers, and I see Johnny Most is in a leather jacket interviewing players up on the stage. And I go over and I get in line, and I finally get the courage to ask Robert Parish a question. You remember that first time, when you're asking a question and you're nervous as hell?
Sure.
And I go, I really hit him with a hard one, Bob. I said, Chief, how do you feel? And how many times did you hear that? And he looked down at me with the scowl, and he said, terrible. And then he patted me on the back. This hand came around, hit me on the back. He laughed so loud.
Oh.
And he just erupted in laughter.
No kidding. Oh.
And it was just so great. He just looked at me, and he could tell. And he laughed, and everybody else laughed. And of course, I was the butt of the joke. Who cares? But I told him, because he used to come in studio and he did some stuff with us later. And I told him that story. Of course, he didn't remember it.
Yeah, sure.
But he did it his way. That's it.
The other thing was, I always remember, impeccably dressed.
Oh, very much so.
It's hard. He's one of those people that no matter what he put on, he looks elegant. He could be elegant in pajamas, I think.
He was very royal to me.
Oh, no kidding. You wonder if he's not from royalty back in the.
Seriously, yeah. I went in with, you could say like you could put him in a he looked very, very distinguished. Distinguished. There's no question, royalty. Well, Bob, great going down memory lane with one of the great Celtics, Robert Parish, brought to you by the CLNS Media Network. The show is brought to you by Parish-Bird, North America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Download today. Use code CLNS to get $50 when you play 5. Parish-Bird. Run your game.